welcome everyone to Learning Chromebooks. It is April 15th. Looks like we have about 32 in the audience. Today is a 1-hour show on learning Chromebooks. You probably know Huey and I, but I'm Ron Brown, and this is Huey Poplock. You can wave, Huey, and and also Bob wave. Bob sort of, you know, we just did Tech for Senior Live about an hour ago, which is a show, and we also do the Monday show called Tech for Senior. But we wanted to do this. It's called Learning Chromebooks, and we focus on Chromebooks. And this is, we just figured out, this is our eighth show, so that's pretty cool. These are all taped, and we will be sending the link out to you probably later on today when I finish editing it. We're taping this, and we'll have it for you. And you can look at any of the other videos as well. They're all time-stamped in the description, so you can see what parts or what sections we have for you. Today we have 3 videos for you, and we're going to do something a little bit different today because Edith Rosinski sent us a question in, and we sort of made one of the videos, and he made one of the videos around Edith's question. So a question. So we always are happy with questions, and we did this around so we made sort of one of the videos around this question. So I'm going to start with the first video will be on tips for your Chromebook in 2021. Then that's going to go for around 15 minutes. And then Huey is going to come on with his show program, and this is all around a question that Edith had about her Chromebook, and that's about 20 minutes. And then we're going to have a bit of a 10-minute discussion. Chris, Edith's husband, has some questions as well, I'm sure, and we'll have a little bit of a two-way discussion for 10 minutes. And then to finalize it, I have about an 8-minute video that I've just made on Chrome boxes. What is a Chrome box? So you'll really want to stay till the end and have a look and see what a Chrome box is, and I'll discuss that in the last video. And that's our show for today. So I'm going to sort of get that. Is that okay, Huey? Should we get going?
Yep, let's go.
Okay, I'm going to mute everybody and share my screen, and we'll get going here. And we will share.
It's Ron Brown with Tech for Seniors with 5 important tips for your Chromebook in 2021. Now you know the routine. If you like this video, please click the like, and we'd sure appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. It really does help. Thanks so much. Let's get on with the 5 tips for your Chromebook in 2021. Now, Microsoft is getting ready for a big update in their operating system. Now, just imagine what's going to happen. Right in the middle of a presentation, your Windows 10 machine is going to update. Or, worse than that, when you try to update it, it's going to crash your machine. You might lose data. Oh man, it goes on and on and on. And we can just sit back and smile because we have a Chromebook. But you know, the Chromebook does actually update its operating system as well. But it just does it a lot smarter than Microsoft. And it doesn't ever bother you. How does that happen? Well, I think we've talked a little bit about this before, and there actually are 2 copies of your Chrome operating system. Yes, 2 copies, a primary and a secondary copy. And that's why the upgrade always occurs in the secondary copy, so it never bothers you. But here's the problem. If you're like me, you know what we do. Let me just show you here in this little video. If you watch here and watch me close my computer. This is what I do every night before I go to bed. I just close the computer lid like that. The problem with that is your Chromebook just goes to sleep. And you know how it switches from the primary copy to the secondary copy? In other words, it reverses them, so it's going to install the one that is being updated. You have to power off. So when you're just sleeping like this, you're not actually switching the copies and you're not getting the advantages of the upgrade. Now that's perfectly okay to do. In fact, that's what I do all the time. I'm lazy. I just click the lid shut and put it to sleep. But because I write tech articles all the time, the first thing I need to do is in the morning when I get up and open up my Chromebook, I manually update the operating system to check and make sure that it's what version we're using, because I write articles about it. So I wanted to show you today just how to upgrade the operating system manually if you're lazy like me and you just put your Chromebook to sleep. Now it's also perfectly acceptable if you want to turn it off. If you power it off, then that's not a problem. You just power it on in the morning and the copies will switch. But you have to actually turn it off to have the primary copy switch to the secondary copy. Now, if you just want to put it to sleep like I do, then you can just update it maybe once a week if you're real obsessive, or maybe once a month if you just want to keep updated. So that's perfectly fine to do as well. But I just want to make sure that everyone understands how to manually update the operating system. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. You come to the settings and you come up to the shutdown button and you actually turn the Chromebook off. When you do this, it will reboot when you open the lid, and the secondary copy will now become the primary copy of your operating system, and it will have upgraded itself. Now, since I have this bad habit of closing the lid, I update mine manually. So in this diagram, you'll see I come up to settings. We then bring the cursor over to the left side and down to the About Chrome OS. We'll click on this. Let's go up and check my version. This is the current version that I am running. I'm going to check for updates, and I see that my Chromebook is up to date. If there was an update to do, it would install it at that time and ask me to reboot my computer. And when I did, it would switch copies. All right, let's look at the new screen or video capture that was introduced as part of the operating system upgrade in version 89. So we have it built right into the operating system where we can record videos, do screen captures, all sorts of really cool things you can do now right in the operating system. You don't even need an app or anything like that. Let me show you how it works. All right, let's look at the new screen recorder. We'll come to the settings menu and come up to the screen capture window here. Click on this and you'll see 5 boxes at the bottom here. The 2 on the left and the 3 on the right, along with the settings menu. The 2 on the left here we'll talk about in a minute. The first one shows click anywhere to record full screen. So anywhere here on the screen you click, you'll be able to record the total screen. The second button shows where you can select part of the screen. Again, you can drag and drop how big you want the area to be recorded. And the third box is a screen capture. So this is what you would click to have a screen capture taken. Now let's go over to the left side now, and you'll see these 2 buttons. The first is a picture of a camera. This is where you would take as image, an image capture, and the second is the button you would place to do the recording. And again, if you come over to the settings menu, you'll see this is where you can turn your microphone on or off. So if you don't want to be speaking, you can just leave it off. That's the new screen recorder for the Chrome operating system. All right, now you've recorded your video. Where is it? And how do you play it? And so the capture is done and it's saved in your downloads directory. on your Chromebook. And in your downloads directory, you'll find it as a file format as WebM. Now that may be a little unusual for you, and you may not understand what WebM is because you're mostly understand about MP4 files. And WebM has been around for quite a while now, and it's based on a little bit different compression. The size of both the WebM and MP4 files are about the same, and they have relatively similar compression. How do you play these? Well, a very popular video playing app called VLC, which is free, is available as an app for your Chromebook. And I would suggest you download VLC. It's found at the Play Store, and that's an easy thing to do. And then you can just play your video captures back. You can play them back using the WebM format. However, if you want to convert them to an MP4, that's very easy to do, and VLC will save them as an MP4 file. This may be important if you're planning to do some video editing on them. For example, Camtasia doesn't import a WebM format. So you'd have to convert it to MP4, which is done easily done in the VLC software. So that is the new feature that we have that is available in our Chrome operating system. Now, how to change your download folder on your Chromebook. There are a number of reasons why you might want to consider this. First, you might have limited space on your hard drive in your Chromebook, and as you download more and more stuff, it can fill it up. So you can change the download directory to be either an SD card that you've placed in your Chromebook or an external drive, or in fact, you could even store it on your Google Drive in the cloud. So you have lots of options, but by default, your download folder will be stored on the hard drive in your Chromebook. Now, the second reason that you might want to consider this is if you decide to power wash your Chromebook. This is where it resets it to factory specifications. Again, if you have all your files stored in your download directory, this will wipe them out. So it's really important that if you do decide to change your directory, if you have it on an SD card or you put it in Google Drive, those are safe places if you're going to power wash. And again, a Google Drive is available on all devices. Now, the other reason I wanted to bring this up today is because how you do this has changed from my last video I made about a year ago. They've changed the location of the option to change your download directory. And you no longer find it in the Chromebook settings. In other words, when you go to the bottom right-hand side of your Chromebook, you come to settings, and then you come in, and you used to change it in the menu system there. Well, that doesn't work anymore, and if you try to do it, you won't find it. So what you have to do is you have to open the Chrome browser, and then you go to the three-dot menu in the top right-hand corner and open it up that way. Let me show you how it works, okay? Let's have a look at the new way of changing your downloads directory. First, we'll come to the Chrome browser, not in settings, but we're going to come to the Chrome browser and come up to the top into the three-dot menu in the Chrome browser. From there, we're going to come down and click on the settings in the Chrome browser. Then we're going to come over to the left side, and we're going to come up to the advanced setting, click advanced, and now you'll see downloads. And when you click on the downloads button, you'll see here is the location to change. And when we click this, you'll see it brings up the folder now, and you'll be able to choose where you want to save your downloads folder. It could be on a Google Drive, then it would be stored in the cloud, or it could be an external drive or an SD drive. Now, a few weeks ago, a reader asked me if they shared a Chromebook within a family, would they need to power watch it between users? And I said, no, I mean that you could do that, but that's probably not the best way. You see, Chromebooks are very account specific. So the first person that logs on to a Chromebook is usually the owner or administrator, and they can determine whether you have guests or new users. And if you enable those features in your menu that I've shown you, you'll be able to come on as a new user or a guest. And in those situations, new accounts are created for those individuals. And none of your data is shared. So, for example, if you created a new user, this would be a totally independent set of data. And when you remove that new user, none of your data would be affected. So it's a way in which you can actually have two people who are users of a Chromebook that are completely, their data is completely encrypted and completely separate. So that is how you would have multiple people using the same Chromebook. Remember, this is Chromebook's 10th anniversary this year. And they added something for us in the launcher. This is called the Chromebook Tote. Let's have a look and see what this is. All right, let me show you how the tote works. So as we come onto the shelf here, you'll see as we zoom down, you'll see on the shelf a new feature, and this is called the tote. If you hover over there, you'll see it says T-O-T-E. And when you bring up the menu, it will show you pin files or screen captures. So let's do a screen capture. We're going to come over to the right side and we're going to open the screen capture menu. We'll click on this and we're now going to take a screen capture. So we're going to select an area to do the screen capture, and now we're going to capture it by clicking on the capture button. And now we should be able to see that back in the tote area. And there's our screen capture in the tote area. It's like a holding area for your work. Now as we move over, let's look at the file. So we're going to go to Files, and let's have a look at the file that we just created, and we're going to pin it to the shelf. So when we click on this, we're now going to come back to the tote area, and you'll see again that it's pinned to the tote area. So this is an area that holds screen captures and pinned files. It's called the tote. So the 5 important tips for your Chromebook in 2021. In this video, I've showed you how to manually update your operating system, how to use the new screen and video capture, how to change your download directory, how to share a Chromebook using multiple user accounts, and the new Chromebook Tote feature. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Have a great day.
Okay, Huey, do you want to share your screen?
I'll talk more about this when we finish and start our discussion time period. So let me just go ahead and start. Hi, I'm Huey Poplock, and I'm coming to you directly from my lanai in Bradenton, Florida. This week we got a question on Chromebooks from Edith. And Edith said, I've spent hours scouring the internet and trying the many different ways to get a My Drive file folder moved, copied, zipped, so that I can have a backup saved on my Chromebook's internal SD card and external USB C memory stick. I have managed one time to zip one file and get it saved on my Chromebook on the internal SD card and on the USB-C memory stick. I hope you can give me some help. And that's what I'm going to try to do today. Just to make sure that I understood what the problem was, I emailed her back, and I think I understand her issue. And I said to her, you have several files on your Chromebook that are located in My Drive. in the my drive area and you wish to back them up or copy them to a folder on an SD card or an external driver stick. Is that correct? And she said, yeah, that's exactly what you wanted. And I said, do you want them on your Google Drive, the cloud, so that they are available from any computer at any time? She said, yeah, that too. So I endeavored to try to figure out what her problem was. And you know what? I had a similar problem. And I'll tell you how I attacked it, and I'm going to tell you uh, how I got it to also work. First, what we want to do is we want to open up the Files app. We get to it from here, and we click here. And let's move me out of the way here a little bit. Okay, so this is our Files structure. What you'll see is recent audio, images, videos, photos, and then on My Files, which means on my Chromebook, you'll see downloads and play files. Then you have your Google Drive with a little arrow here, and if I click that, it opens up and shows you the Google Drive, which is made up of my drive and computers and so on. And then I have an SD card with a few folders on it. And I have a USB drive. Now it's not a USB-C, it is a USB 3. It is a USB drive, but it's not a C, but it shouldn't make any difference in what the problem she was having and the problem I had. So I am thinking, and I may be wrong, Edith, you have your files locally on your Chromebook. And that would be under My Files. And under My Files, you'll have downloads and play files. And downloads will be anything that you've downloaded. And let's double click that, and you'll see that I've got a bunch of screenshots and a few files, PDFs and so on, that I opened up through my emails and so on to and it saved it. Now it's relatively clear because I recently did a power wash, and when you do a power wash, anything local on your drive is gone. And so all of everything that I had in my downloads folder was gone, except before I did the power wash, I saved it to a folder, and that's what I believe that Edith is trying to do. Now I may be wrong, and we'll attack it in a couple of different ways. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to get all of these files to her SD card and to a USB stick. The SD card is inserted in an SD slot on this Chromebook. Not all Chromebooks have SD card slots, but if you do, it gives you extra storage. In this case, I have a 128 gigabyte mini SD card in my slot. And let's take a look at what I've got on it. I've got a few folders, one called Old Screenshots, Views and Reviews, and one called Folder 1. Let's create a new folder, and we're going to call it Edith. And I'm going to say a new folder, and we're going to call it Edith. And I now have a folder there. Now let's say I wanted to call it something else. There's not really a way to do it easily like you would expect from a PC where you just right mouse click on it. And in most cases you don't use a mouse, you use your hand, you use the touchpad, or you use the screen. So the best way to do it is when it's highlighted, just hold the control key down and hit enter. As soon as you do that, it puts it in edited form. So I am going to change this to Edith's Files, just to show you how it can be done. Now, when I was doing this for the first time this morning, it wouldn't let me do it. I would try to do this, and it didn't give me an error message. It just didn't change anything. And I had some other similar problems, and some of the things that I'm going to show you just didn't work. It came up with a message saying that it couldn't complete the task. I don't remember the exact words, and I should have. And I caution everybody to always do this, and I didn't do it. And that's do a screen capture of the error message, or write it down, and I didn't do either of those. I apologize. But either way, it didn't work. And then when I tried to copy things to this SD card, one time I got a couple of files, and then I got an error message saying that it couldn't be done. And I kept doing that and running into that. So what I finally did was with the SD card, I actually clicked it, and you see where it says format device? I'm not going to do it, but I got to this point, and I wasn't sure, okay, if I format it, everything's going to go away. So I copied everything from the SD card to my USB stick. I was able to do that. And so I got everything over there. And then I used the FAT32, and I told it to erase in format, and I started out with a clean SD card. And that would be my suggestion to Edith, is to back up that card to her USB stick. That she should be able to do. I'm hoping she can. And then reformat her SD card with it, and then she can put back anything she wanted on it, and then she can put on any new things. But once I did that, everything seemed to work the way I expected it to work. And let's see if it does. We're going to try it now. So we're going to go to my downloads folder, and we're going to highlight. Now there's several ways you can highlight. You can click on one, and then holding the control key down, you can click on something else, and it's now checked off too. But if you go to the first one, click it and highlight it, and then come down to the bottom one, holding the shift key, and this also works on PCs too, and click it, it now gets everything in between as well. So we've got everything that's in our download folder physically on our Chromebook ready to copy over to the SD card. And what I'm going to do is click on the SD card, the little arrow, so I can see where Edith's files are. And I am going to grab all of these, and I'm going to drag it over to Edith's files. Now what happened was, now it clicked into Edith's files, and you can see them one by one. They are populating that folder. And if I move my picture out of the way here, you'll see down here it's telling me now. It tells you how many it's doing and how complete it is. When it's done, it says complete, and then that little box goes away. So let's go back to my downloads. And you'll notice those files are still there. We can tell where we are by my files and downloads up here. And they're all still there. Because I'm going from one drive to another, it doesn't move them, it copies them. What is on the same, if I created a folder on the Chromebook under the downloads, and if I created a folder under there and then tried to drag them into that, it would actually move them. This also is true on your PC, that when you drag something from one folder to another folder on the same drive, the default is moving. If you drag them from one drive to another drive, the default is copy. All right, so that's one way, Edith, you can do that. The other way is, now we have the USB stick. So now what we're going to do is, you can see that I've got a couple of folders there, and I am now going to I can go back to the SD card, or I can come back up to my downloads folder. The reason I'm going to, well, we'll do both. Let's first come up here, new folder from Chromebook. So we're going to take it directly from the Chromebook, so we'll open that folder. So that's where it is. And we can see here that it's down here at the bottom. And now I'm going to come back up to the downloads, and we're going to, again, grab all of those files. I'm going to go to the bottom and hold the shift key down. It's highlighted all of them. I'm just going to drag it down into from CB. You can see down here it's copying them, and it's now complete. It's copied 17 files. Now the next thing what we want to do is, let's go ahead and create another folder, new folder. We'll call this from the SD card. And we can see that it's empty. We'll come back out of it, okay? We're going to come back up. Let's go to the SD card and find Edith's files. Now, I can do a couple of things. Let's do this first. I'm going to go to the top, just like we did before. Hold the shift down here. Now we got them all. Now I'm going to copy these from the SD card and put it here. And you can see that it's done. And so if we look in from the SD card, they're all there. If we look at the CB from Chromebook, and they're all there as well. Now the other thing that we might try to do, we're going to come back up here to the SD card, and we have a folder called Edith's Files. So let's just look at the SD card, and we see that there's Edith's Files here. We're going to grab that whole folder, and we're going to grab it, and we're going to put it over the card. You'll see copying Edith's Files, and it's done, and we've got Edith's Files now on that drive. So what we've done so far is we were able to copy the files from the Chromebook to the SD card, internal SD card that we have in the Chromebook. We were able to complete that. We also copied them from the Chromebook to the external USB drive or stick, and we copied them from the SD card to the USB stick. So we were able to do both of those. When I was discussing this with Ron, he thought that maybe her files that she was talking about moving were on her Google Drive. And so I wanted to see if we could make that work as well. So let's go to Google Drive and to My Drive, and let's take a folder. Let's go to Screenshots. And we've got some screenshots here with a folder in it, actually. And let's say we want to make a copy of this and put it down on both the SD card and on the USB drive. I highlighted them. Now I'm going to drag them to Edith's Files on the SD card. It's copying them. It says about 1 minute remaining. It's copied 6 items, and it's now complete. So we've now managed, just by clicking and dragging, to go from the Google Drive out in the cloud and drag them onto the SD card in the Chromebook. Now the next thing we want to try to do is see if we do that same thing to the external drive. So we're going to come back up here, Screenshots folder. We're going to highlight all of them. We're going to come down to the SD card, or the USB drive down here. And this time we're going to also put them there into the Edith's Files there. It's now copying all 6, and it did it and it's done. So if we look at Edith's Files here, all of those are here, as well as the ones that we initially copied, as well as on her SD card. So she's got copies of both what she got off of her Chromebook and from Google Drive. Now what we want to do is take Edith's files from either the SD card or the USB drive. Let's do it from the SD card because that's internal. We may not always have the USB stick plugged in. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come back up to My Drive on Google Drive. And I'm going to take Edith's files. Now drag this over to My Drive. Drop it on My Drive. And it's saying copying the files to My Drive, and it's now done. So it's now out in the cloud. And if we look up here, we should see Edith's files, and there they are. And they're now on the cloud on the My Drive portion of the Google Drive account. So we've gone both ways. We've been able to get it from Google Drive to the SD card to the USB drive, and then we can take it from any of the three, the Chromebook, the USB drive, or the SD card, and copy them out to the cloud, and it should work. Now, the one remaining thing that we haven't done is how to zip and then take them as a group. We took a whole folder, but let's say we only want some files from within a folder, or if there's a lot of files, we'd like to zip it up and make it a little bit more compact. So we're going to do that next. The next thing that we want to do would be to zip up a whole group of files. Instead of putting it as a folder and moving a whole folder, make a zip file out of it. And what that does, it not only puts it in one package, but it does compress some files to give it less space, storage space. So let's take a folder. Let's minimize the Google Drive so you only see the name Google Drive, because what we want to do is we want to do it locally from the downloads on the Chromebook. We're going to take everything that's in the download folder on the Chromebook and highlight it all. I am going to, let's see, move this back down here. And I'm going to zip the selection. You can see it archiving down here at the bottom. And it has now archived all of those files into a zip. And if we move towards the top, we see archive.zip. We can rename that what we want. So we highlight it, Control Enter, and we're going to say, and now what we want to do is we want to copy that to the SD card. So it's still highlighted. So we're going to bring it down. We're going to put it to the SD card. You can see it's copying it down here. It's now complete. So if we now go to the SD card, we will see it. Backup of CB download files.zip. Double click it. And it opens up the zip to show me what's in it. And so we could take that same file, copy it to the USB drive, and also copy it out to the to my Google Drive and have it stored in the cloud as well. So we've got everything going in every direction, and it all seems to be working. The key to it was backing up what was on the SD card and reformatting the SD card, and I was able to then make it all work. So try that with your machine. Hopefully it works. Now, if it doesn't, I understand that your Chromebook is an older Chromebook. There may not be enough memory. Now, I've got 4 gigabytes of RAM in this. You may only have 2 gigabytes of RAM. There may not be enough room to do all of this. That may be another issue. But try what I'm showing you, and hopefully it will work for you. But in any case, everyone knows now how to move things from one place to another. Now, Ron and I were talking, and we're going to probably show you some more information on using some other devices like the Google's Backup and Sync software, the Google Takeout, and then download Google Drive, and then backup to OneDrive, or you Dropbox, for instance, if you have a Dropbox account. So there's a lot of ways in which you can back up the data as well. So hope this solved your problem, Edith. Let us know. And thank you very much.
I packed a lot of information in there. What I did find out afterwards, I spoke to Edith quite lengthily after I did the recording, and I did find that she was talking about moving from my drive, which is the cloud, to her SD card, and she was trying to do several folders, subfolders, and subfolders, and that wasn't working. I did suggest that rather than zipping, because when you zip from the Google Cloud to when you download, it zips it for you. And then what I also discovered is on the Chromebook doesn't really have an unzip. When you double click on a zip file, you see all of those files, but The only instructions I could find on how to unzip was to take each one, copy it, and then paste it to where you want it to go. And that would be each file. And that would be very painstaking. So I did go looking, and there is a unzip file, an app, I mean, on the Chrome store, and I downloaded it, but I have not had a chance to play with it. When you click a zipped file on your Chromebook, you will see at the top, it'll say read only. And that's because it's still in the zip format. You're just looking inside of that. You're not actually extracting it. Somehow you have to extract it. And that's where I think that WinZip, or I'm sorry, the unzip zip program, I think it is called WinZip, although it has nothing to do with Windows. And there's also a couple other programs that are available I'll play with as well. Edith, any comments on what I showed you and what you discovered since we talked? You have to unmute.
Well, I have read yours, or I've read Ron's and and viewed his videos. And I started to try what you said, but unfortunately I did not get to finish it. So that is this afternoon's project after listening to Learning Chromebooks.
Okay, well, you've got a pretty good idea what I did and what I was showing you. So I think it should help some.
I'm hoping it does.
Okay, Ron, I guess at this point we can take some questions from some other people on either what you showed or I showed or anything else to do with a Chromebook. Chris,
We're getting some feedback. Chris, Edith, can you turn your, we're getting some feedback from the multiple mics. Edith, can you mute yourself?
No, I'm not, I'm off now.
Just mute yourself.
Is that, well, we're sitting right next to it.
There you go. Perfect.
There you go. Yep.
One of the things I wanted to say before we ask any questions, I wanted to bring the idea up, and Edith was talking about scanning, and I just wanted to, I showed everyone, was it last session or the session before, the new scanning feature where you can hook your Chromebook up and you can actually scan a document from your printer. Now, since then, I've had a whole bunch of people write me and say, well, it works, it doesn't work. It's sort of a bit of a hocus pocus thing. And so it's a problem trying to get this scanning app working. I want to just let everybody know that I think it's a much easier way to go about scanning. If you want to scan something, use your phone, use your Android phone or use your iPhone. And what you need to do is just download the Google Drive app onto either your iPhone or your Android phone. It's the Google Drive app. And within that app, you can scan stuff right from your phone. Just take a picture of it, it'll scan it, it'll put it into Google Drive for you, it OCRs it, it'll make it, it does everything for you, and it's super easy to use, and it's so simple. And it's available for you. So you can just use your phone to do the scanning. Boom, it's in Google Drive for you. You can see it with your Chromebook. Everything's hunky-dory. And so, you know, it's a real simple thing to do. So I'd like everybody to try that, because I think the scanning app I showed you that's supposed to be in the software is a bit of a hocus pocus thing right now, if that's a good word to use for it.
It was more pocus for me than a hocus, because because when I tried to use it, it actually shut down my Chromebook and I couldn't use it. I ended up, that's why I had to power wash my Chromebook.
Yeah.
Was somehow it blew away my whole, I couldn't even get into Chrome, into the Chrome OS on my Chromebook. So there are some problems. They're still testing it. It's still in beta. So just be aware of that. The other thing that you said, Ron, about scanning, Edith had it all scanned. So it was already done. You don't want to go through that and go through that all over again.
No, there'd be no advantage. She's already done the work. Yeah. But I'm just thinking for those people who are interested in doing that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that were involved in what you said for your part today and what I had. There's a lot of different things that we can use for discussion. And I see we have a couple of questions already.
Yeah, George, go ahead.
So once you take something off your Chromebook, it's no longer encrypted. And I found some stuff that is in Dropbox, and my Dropbox that I haven't used for years, and I was doing some dark reading and started to think, well, I ought to get that stuff, out of there. And so what I'd like to do is find a way to not only zip it, but to encrypt it. And I'd like that application to work across Windows and Chrome.
But it is, and Bob can correct me if I'm wrong, but it is HTTPS and it is encrypted on the Google Drive. So I don't think, unless I'm wrong about that, Bob, is that it is Google Drive is HT.
It's encrypted on the drive, but if I put it on a thumb drive or on a backup drive, it's no longer encrypted.
Right.
And so I'm looking for an app that encrypts it it encrypts it anyway. I might zip it, I might not zip it. I don't know.
The encryption the encryption is the site. It's not the file. HTTPS assures an encrypted site, not necessarily the file on the site.
Yeah, I'm not talking HTTPS.
George, I would suggest if you go to Amazon, do a search for a USB stick, encrypted stick. You can buy them that have encryption, and you can encrypt the whole stick.
Will they run on both?
You lock the stick so no one can get to it unless they have the right password.
Will they run both on? Will the app that's on the stick run on both Chromebook and Windows?
I don't know the answer to the Chromebook part of that. I don't know. But that would be a place I would look.
Thanks. Dorothy, go ahead.
I was following along with Huey's video, and I have an SD card, and I accidentally clicked on the little triangle with the line underneath, and my SD card disappeared, and I couldn't bring it back. So I did a restart on my Chromebook, and it came back. But I just
That's what you have to do.
What is that triangle line thing?
That's like ejecting it.
Dismounting or ejecting?
It's unmounted.
Yeah, it's unmounted. So by rebooting, it comes right back.
That's a Linux thing. And remember, the Chrome operating system is really Linux. So that's a Linux thing. It unmounts the drive. So don't do that, because otherwise you have to restart your computer, which is another reason why I like having an external drive, because if you have rather than putting an SD card inside it, is you just pop it out and pop it back in and it'll find it again, right? So it's a little bit easier. Edith, I'm going to ask you just to wait for a minute. I want to get our last video in, and then we'll have a little bit of time for some more questions. So we have one final video, and this is on Chrome boxes, and I'm going to play that for you now. And I'm going to share my screen.
It's Ron Brown with Tech for Seniors. Do not buy a Chromebook before watching this video. And you know the routine. If you like this video, please click the like, and we'd sure appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out and allows other people to continue seeing the work we do. Thanks again. Let's get on with the show. So what is a Chrome box, and why should you consider a Chrome box instead of a Chromebook? Well, let's look what a Chromebook is. A Chromebook is a laptop, of course. It has a monitor. It has a keyboard. It has a speaker. It is a computer. It has a box. It has a touchpad. And, of course, a battery. All those components go into a Chromebook. So what is a Chrome box? A Chrome box is basically a Chromebook minus all those devices. Let's go back and have a look at that again. So when you go to purchase a Chromebook, one of the things you look at is a monitor. You look at the screen. All sorts of questions arise. How bright is the screen? How large is the screen? Do you want a big screen or a little screen? Or it's an OLED screen? A lot of times you're spending a large amount of money on a Chromebook just for that screen. Take a look at the keyboard. Sometimes you want a bigger keyboard, a smaller keyboard. Keyboards vary. Let's look at your speaker. How many times have I heard, gee, I like my Chromebook, but it doesn't have a very good speaker? And then, of course, there's the computer component, and then the touchpad. Maybe you want a mouse. Maybe you don't want to use a touchpad. And then there's the battery. You're paying for a battery in a laptop. So what happens if you want to have a large monitor? Suppose you want to have multiple monitors. You don't like the little monitor that comes with a Chromebook. You want to have two big monitors like I have in my display in my office here. Why should you have to pay for the small monitor you don't want? The same thing would come with the keyboard. Maybe you already have a keyboard. Why do you have to buy a keyboard? And again, a speaker. You can put great speakers connected into a Chrome box. And again, you don't have to pay for the touchpad because you have, maybe you want to use a mouse. And if you're going to use it and not transport it around, why do you need to pay for a battery? If you're always going to leave it plugged in on your desk, why pay for a battery? So what are the advantages to a Chrome box? Well, first of all, a Chrome box is customizable. In other words, you can add monitors, displays, you can add all sorts of peripherals such as a keyboard, a mouse, anything you want to plug in to your Chrome box, you can make it as you want it. It's upgradable. So if, as time goes along, if you want to increase RAM or you change the components within the Chrome box, this is often very possible. And you only pay for the components that you require. You don't need a battery. If you're going to keep it sitting on your desk all the time, why pay for a battery? So you don't require a battery. And the Chrome OS is exactly the same as a Chromebook. It still does all the same things that we talk about. You do not require virus protection. It's all built into the Chrome operating system. It's exactly the same as a Chromebook. And the other thing is there's no moving parts. Everything in a Chrome box is all solid state. It always has been. There has never been a spinning drive or any moving parts. So the longevity is great. You can connect unlimited peripherals. Chromebooks as well as Chrome boxes can connect to almost anything, and you can daisy chain as many devices as you want to plug into these. And again, it's very, very small. You can put these in the palm of your hand. So as a seasonal visitor, suppose you visit like I do down to Mesa, Arizona, put your Chrome box in the palm of your hand and take it down with you. You don't have to lug a big computer or even a big Chromebook down there. You just have a Chrome box. All right, I've chosen 3 Chrome boxes to show you today. The first 2 are from Best Buy. The third is purchased on Amazon. These were priced today, the 14th of April, 2021 in US dollars. So the first 2 you can purchase today at Best Buy. The model that you see before you is the Chrome box by Acer, model 3867. This is $279, and you will see this. You'll see it mounted behind the display monitor in the lower left. Now you can view, read, watch, stream, listen, and learn with this Chrome box. It has the newest Intel Celeron processor, and it supports a wide range of multimedia capabilities. Of course, it gets automatic updates to keep your data secure, as with Chrome operating system. It has an ultra-quick data transfer, and it has USB 3.1 Type-C ports, and you can expand your viewing area and have multiple monitors. The Chromebox lets you view content on 2 displays through an HDMI and Type-C port on the back. This makes multitasking a whole lot easier. You can spread out your work, browsers, mirror content, and extend a single browser across multiple displays. All for $280. This is the Chromebox. Now let's look at a little bit more expensive model. This is the Chromebox Intel Core. This has an i3 processor in it. Again, it has the similar capabilities as I just described. You'll see the ports on the front, and you'll see that I've shown you this with two monitors connected. Again, if you look at the mouse, the keyboard, and the monitors would all plug in to the ports in your Chromebox as displayed here. This one is made by, the last two are made by Acer. This is made by Hewlett-Packard. This is one of Hewlett-Packard's Chromeboxes. This is the G2 Chromebox. This is $280. It's available on Amazon. This comes with a Celeron processor, 4 gigabytes of RAM, a 32 gigabyte SSD. It has the Chrome operating system and an Intel HD graphics 610 card. This is, as I mentioned, $279. So you should consider a Chromebox for your next purchase. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Seniors. Have a great day.
Okay.
That was great, Ron.
So that's the Chromebox. So I see we have some hands up. It is going to come to the top of the hour. Hugh and I really don't have anything to do today, so we'll stick around and answer questions as long as you want until we get hungry. Then I'm going for lunch. As soon as I get hungry, I'm going for lunch. And Huey can answer the rest of the questions, but we'll stick around. So if you want to leave at the top of the hour, because this is an hour-long show, that's fine, but we'll stick around and we'll answer questions. The recordings we will keep. We'll have the whole recording for you. I'll edit it and put it up this afternoon, so it should be on later today, so you can use this as a reference. All the videos that you saw today are already up and available on our sites, so you can as individuals, so you don't even have to use the whole playback for the show. Edith, I think I cut you off before we did the last one. Why don't you go first, and then we'll let Chris.
You're muted.
Okay. What I just wanted to mention is about the printing. We have an HP printer, and it connects to our MiFi system along with it connects to my Chromebook. And with that, all I have to do is in the URL, I put the IP address of the printer, and up pops this screen that has scanning, it has copying, it has whatever else. And in my sheet feeder HP printer, I just put all the sheets of paper that I want to print or scan. And when it gets done, it pops up with all the sheets that are done and copied and scanned. And it allows me to tell me that I can save it to my Google Drive, and I just name it and tell it where to save it. That's
great.
only with my HP printer.
Yeah, it depends on the printer. You know, a lot of people are having trouble. HP has always done a good job with
I can't hear
Chromebooks.
you.
Yeah, you
I
have
can.
to. Edith, you have to do. There you go, because you both have your Chromebooks, so we're getting feedback between the two of you. That's probably because it's HP. HP certainly has always had the drivers built right into the printers for Chromebooks. But not everybody has HP, and so it's variable. You know, if you have a Brother or a Canon or whatever, it's just not quite. I'm glad it's working for you, but it doesn't work for everybody, and there's lots of work needs to be done on that. That's why I like having the scanning app on your phone, and whether you have an iPhone or an Android phone, it's just so much easier. And you can I can sit there and just click the documents so fast, and they all just go in, they're scanned, and they go up into Google Drive with the Google Drive app on your phone. So I'm glad it's working for you, Edith, but a lot of people are having trouble with that. And I think that's jobs in progress for Google. Chris, did you have something you wanted to say?
I'll just have yes, I have a question, but I make a quick comment. My phone that doesn't have a sheet feeder.
Yeah, but my fingers is fast. You know, sheet feeders are really slow. Listen, I'll bet you, I see Chris all the time. I bet you a cup of coffee. You take your 10 sheets and stick them in your printer. I can do it. I bet you I can scan on my phone 10 sheets before you get one done on your printer. I'll bet you on that. That's a bet. I'll bet you a coffee on that.
That's we don't use the scan app with the little dots around the corner, right? Okay, my question. My question is, I wrote it down here. When I am in Gmail and click, I want to put an attachment in on my Chromebook. It goes to my drive, but the document I want is in Docs or some other places, and I can never seem to get to it. Exactly what do I do when because it goes to my drive? I suppose I want to pick a document up and it's in the Docs or other places. How do I get out of it and get to that location?
So you have to download the doc onto your Chromebook and then just attach it as a file.
Well,
because the doc is in the cloud, and Gmail won't attach it from the cloud. That's where you're having trouble with that. That's a common problem. So you have to so if you have an attachment, particularly if someone sends you an attachment and you want to maybe send that attachment to somebody else, you actually have to download the attachment onto your Chromebook, and then you can attach the file and send it.
Really dumb question. Download it to where and how? Just
download it to your Chromebook. It'll go into the download file.
Okay.
Just download it. And it stays on your, and then just attach it and then send it along.
That explains that. Thank you.
Detlef was next. Detlef, if I recall, you're not here in the States. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm in Berlin.
Okay, I just wanted to call attention to that, and welcome to our program. And you've been, I've seen you on some of our others. Your question,
yeah,
please.
I've been coming to the other ones also. The question actually is for Ron. You didn't mention it specifically, and I don't want to assume something, but I use a Logitech keyboard and Logitech mouse that are connected via Bluetooth. Can I use those on the Chrome box?
Yes.
Or do I have to physically plug something in?
No. Chromeboxes have Bluetooth, and you can certainly use. Now, I'm just assuming that particular model of mouse and keyboard will work. Generally, if they're Bluetooth keyboards, they should work fine on a Chromebook or a Chromebox.
Yeah, I am using occasionally I use a Bluetooth mouse, and it's finicky. Sometimes it'll just go away, but it's an oddball brand. It's not one of the major ones. So my Chromebook just what I've seen is even on Windows, sometimes the Bluetooth mice and peripherals work, and sometimes they don't.
We've talked a lot about Bluetooth in the past, and my final word on Bluetooth, it's like black magic. Like, I don't think anybody really understands how it works. Like it's weird. And so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And people who have trouble with it is really big problems. So, but it should work.
Yeah, I don't like regular mice. And I've gotten used to this one that I've had for the last 15 or 20 years. As a matter of fact, I bought a couple of them so that I have an extra one in case one of them breaks down and they don't make them anymore. And I'd like to be able to use those two things.
I don't see a problem with that. That's it. They're all Bluetooth compliant, so it should be fine.
Bluetooth has also progressed. So if you were talking about a 15-year-old one, you're using a very ancient form of Bluetooth.
True.
And that may be where the problem comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
If it was Bluetooth version 5, you probably wouldn't have that problem at all.
You want to check to see what version Bluetooth is on that Chromebox. It may be 4. And so, and they will talk to each other, but you're not going to have the features of 5.
Yeah, and the mouse itself, if it's that old,
yeah,
the version of Bluetooth is old.
Yeah.
Before we go to Stu, a couple of things about the Chromebox. I have an Intel Windows machine called a NUC. It's about the same form factor, and it also goes on the back of my screen. So just to give you an idea that you want to, if you're going to do that and you want to get a monitor that's got a stand, and that also gives you the extra VISA connectors or thing on the back of the monitor that's just like what you hang a monitor on the wall with, because it's going to fit on that. So you're going to have make sure that you get a monitor that will accommodate it. And the other thing is, if you want a touch screen, you're starting to talk about an expensive monitor. And Stu, you had a question.
But the advantage though, Huey, is that if you don't, if I bought like my Pixel book here, probably $500 of that Pixel book is the screen, right?
Yeah.
And if I don't want that screen, I want a 32-inch monitor, then, with a Chromebox, I don't have to pay for that screen, right?
Yeah. If you don't want to, if you don't need a touch screen,
Exactly.
if you're using it as if you're using it as a desktop, you're probably not going to use,
Right.
You're not used to a touch screen and not going to require it.
Yeah. Stu, go ahead.
Hey, Ron and Huey. I had a fella in my Chromebook SIG that bought a Chromebox. He bought that Asus one that you showed, Ron, or at least he bought one about a year ago. Maybe there's an upgraded model today. But one thing we found, we opened it up and it was very easy to add memory to it. I think it came with 4 gigs and we put 8 on it, and it handled the 8. And it was just a lot nicer. And then we also used that Chromebox to demo Linux, because Linux takes a lot of resource out of the Chromebook. And so with the Linux on there, it worked fine with 8 gigabytes. That's all I have to say.
Great, cool idea. They using the Chromebox as a Linux machine. That's yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's great. I run Linux on my Chromebook as well, and certainly that's certainly one of the huge advantages of of a Chromebook or a Chromebox. Cool.
Yeah, Stu runs a Chrome SIG for the Tampa Bay and Florida group.
Right.
And Stu, what day when you don't
we do it on the 3rd Thursday. But we're doing it all. We do all our things on Zoom right now. But if you write to me, I will be glad to let you in, because we've got 100 user license, and I might have 15 or 20 people.
Great.
And if you'll put your email address in the chat box. And,
I will. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
All right. Is there anyone else that wants to, what are we, 10 minutes after?
Yeah, Bill H.
Oh, go ahead.
I'd like to applaud Huey on showing how to back up files to different devices, and really encourage anybody that has a file that they want saved to not zip it or encrypt it on a device. Actually put the device, say, in a safe or something. I had a client years ago that had all of her business stuff zipped, and back then zip came in different versions. Well, she upgraded to the new version. It didn't read the old one. And I've ran into it several times through the years that that is a problem. So thank you.
Great, good comments. Jim Glass. Jim, go ahead.
You're muted.
The most common term in Zoom, you're muted.
Yep.
I just had a suggestion that when you post the links for this meeting, that instead of just having the Florida time, you put Central and Pacific time as well. It just makes it easier for us. My old mind required me to go to make a Florida to California conversion because I couldn't remember.
That's what Google's for. Just ask.
I did.
Or Miss A or Mr. G. Just ask them. They'll tell you.
Mr. Google said because I mistyped it and it got Iowa instead of California. So what can I say? Anyway, I'm enjoying the show. You guys got some good new stuff today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
Thank
Jim
you,
always
Chris.
is on our, Jim is almost the first person every Monday to be on our Tech for Seniors show as well. Thanks for all the support, Jim. That's great.
It's all due to my dog.
And Chris, you had a comment?
Yeah, it's a comment. I would like you to continue doing what you kind of did do today, because moving things around in the Chromebook, like Windows Explorer, I was pretty good at moving things around and dragging and dropping, but I'm finding it's not like Huey found it. It's not quite always the same on the Chromebook. So more programs on all the apps are really nice, but just the basics of how to move around in this Chromebook is the thing that drives me nuts, and Edith too. So more of that, reinforcing on that would be really good.
But I'm glad you said that, because you know what? I learned a lot putting that together. And so it helps me understand it a little bit more. I
Single
realized
finger, double finger, three finger. Yeah.
yeah, that I don't do. I've gotten away from doing that. I don't
Four
do a
finger,
lot. But
that's
I love
right.
the touch. I love the touch screens. So
So
I did have a Windows. I had a big 27-inch touch screen that I originally got with my original NUC, and I loved having that on my desktop. But when it died, I wasn't about to spend close to $500 for a screen, so I just have a nice big. Well, I have two screens, but they're not touch anymore on my Windows. But I do like having that, and I do encourage people when they're looking to buy a Chromebook to get a touch screen. So if you want it as a desktop and you're going to use a Chromebox, then you need to think if you want to spend that kind of money or just have a regular screen.
Sorry.
I will say that I expect this year there will be big changes in the file management system of Chromebooks. That is a weak area that Chromebooks have, and it's confusing. And certainly Huey displayed that today and showed us, how to do some of those things. But like Chris said, it isn't obvious, and Google understands that. And they have said that they're planning a big update in their file management system, and you've already seen some of that. But I really don't like when Dorothy was showing me, that to click that little button, the little down thing, and unmount your drive, and it goes away. That's just goofy. I mean, there's no reason that should be there. They should get rid of that. They need to change that, and it needs to. Because that's a
no.
That is awful confusing.
I think it's fine, and something I'd like to point out, George, here, is that if it unmounts, you can just remove the device and plug it back in, and it'll remount.
But the problem is you don't know to do that, and if you have an SD card in your computer, you got to take sometimes you have to take the cover off. You have to go in, you have to put your thumb in there, and you have to click it and bring the card out, and then you have to put it back. I mean, it's a big production to do that. And or reboot. Yeah. So it's a pain in the butt, and it's very confusing. It took me the very first when I got my first Chromebook and was trying this out. It took me about a week to figure that out. I finally had to go to the support forum in Chrome, and some guy told me all about unmounting and mounting. I said, what's unmounting and mounting? What's all that about? And so it's for new users, it's just dumb. They need to get rid of that. That's my opinion anyway.
Last comment, Chris.
I'm just going to say, if you would like to appreciate the touchscreen on a Chromebook, you could do what happened to me. I had one with a touchscreen, and all of a sudden the screen kept going, but the touchscreen didn't. So wait a minute now, because continually on this old one, touching the screen and nothing happens. And it turns out the screen costs more to replace than the whole, probably 2 more Chromebooks. So that we do appreciate the touchscreen and a lot. Thank you.
All right. If that's it, then we will wrap. I think we'll do a wrap, Huey.
Sounds good. Yeah, we're 15 minutes over.
Yep, there you go. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We will see you again in 1 month's time. And hopefully we'll have some more information for you. And Huey, if you get that file to me this afternoon, I'll have it up later on today.
I will do so. As soon as that's ready, I will post it in my OneDrive and give you a link.
We'll do that.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. We had a good time and hope you learned something.
Bye now.
No, no.
Always. Bye-bye.